What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hawks Premier Room Podcast. The Hawks are now up 2-1. State Farm Arena was rocking. I was really. It felt great to be in the arena for that because I think it's been. There were a lot of Knicks fans talking about, it's 4 home games, New York South, and that definitely was the vibe in the regular season. And I've unfortunately been in the building for many of those Hawks Knicks games where the Knicks fans are the dominant majority, at least from a volume perspective. So I think like the atmosphere was awesome. Atlanta came out on fire that first quarter. Shax had a tweet before the game where he was like, he doesn't think that the Hawks have attacked Brunson enough, and I definitely agreed with that. They opened up that first quarter with their best offensive quarter of the series. They scored 137.5 points per 100, and they were just going at Brunson with like ghost pick and roll, zoom action, just straight spreading the floor, going at him in transition. And they had a lot of success. And I think that kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. The Knicks had an uphill battle from that point on, and they definitely fought, made a lot of shots, but eventually Atlanta was able to outlast some Shax. It's 2-1 in the Hawks' favor. How you doing?
I'm doing the best I can, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I really felt, and this is something that I plan on asking Quinn at the next presser, right? To me, this has kind of turned into more of a defensive series from the Hawks. Like, their offense hasn't, outside of CJ McCollum, hasn't been great. And I think nothing typified Quinn's belief in the defense more than going early on that solid out of bounds for CJ McCollum, leaving 12 seconds on the clock, and then letting his defense sort of take care of business at the end. And there are certainly things that we could talk about, like with Mike Brown, the rotation decisions, stuff like that. But I think that this Hawks defense has been extremely solid against the first action. I think they've lost a lot of maybe not focus, or they're just bleeding a little bit of value on the broken plays. And I think that's where New York has had an advantage throughout the entire season. Josh Hart got on a lot of loose balls early in the game. OG Anunoby had some ridiculous grenade shots, offensive rebounds, things of that nature. And did you feel what I felt like in terms of the Knicks half court execution didn't seem as seamless, or it seemed like there was a lot more resistance from Atlanta in this game than there was maybe even in game one?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially going through I only went through the first quarter of the game 3. I felt like they covered up a lot of their actions very well, but they also took the Knicks out of like running it specifically. So it was only at 39% organized offensive rate, it was the lowest since like March 9th against the Clippers in a quarter. So that's a big stat for me. And yeah, so that's not how they want to play. And Atlanta pretty much forced them into that.
And I think, and we talked about this in the preview, like the Hawks don't always, and they typically don't really, and shout out Steph No for putting this together on Twitter, but you won't typically see the Hawks go to like a full court pressure. But that's essentially, there was a lot of heavy ball pressure on Brunson from both Dyson and Nikhil. I thought Dyson was fantastic overall. He would pick up Brunson a lot earlier than he did at some points in the series. There were multiple moments where Brunson was picking up the ball 40 feet from the rim and passing it off to someone else to try and initiate. And a lot of that was because of the ball pressure. They even brought, like, I think it was this possession in particular, where they brought CJ to hedge, get the ball out of Brunson's hands early. And, I like that they were still able to get there and get to a handoff, but I thought that the Hawks' pressure was so much better in terms of not letting it get to that initial action, making Brunson fight through multiple defenders, seeing multiple guys in his drive path. And then when it did end up being just Dyson was just mirroring every movement, making him work as he gets up the floor. Like, I thought that this was maybe not Dyson's magnum opus, but from a discipline perspective and the types of shots he was able to force Brunson into, it was one of his best games.
Yeah, for sure. Like a few of these actions here that we're showing, they got them in that game in April. Like there's the 5 action with Cat sitting at the top of the key, handing it off to Brunson. Like Daniels would have been like shading one way and just Brunson would go by him like here. Like Daniels would be leaning. He'd be leaning for a handoff. He's not really leaning here on this play.
Yeah. Really, really, really strong defensive performance from him. You can even see here, like, Brunson he sets up that that pistol that cut off of Cat's hip, but the recovery ability to and even he's off balance. He just flips his hips and he gets right back in front of him.
That's a crazy recovery, honestly. There,
Like that is, but also you can't dismiss the nail help from Nikhil either, who I thought had multiple moments. There was a moment where Cat caught that. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 seconds when Cat caught it, and that's usually when he'll fire. And Nikhil was right there, dug on his handle, forced a grenade to OG. I think that they're playing out of their mind defensively. Outside of the earlier pickup points, do you because here's my biggest question is, do you feel like Brunson's wearing down a little bit? I think it definitely did. Like by the fourth quarter, he was kind of deferring to McBride for some possessions, which I can't recall seeing him do at any point throughout the season.
I felt like he was very tired in the third quarter specifically. I think the defense he's trying to play is getting to him a little bit. I feel like defensively I think he's been trying his best defensively. I don't think it's been a bad series on defense. I think it's just his physical makeup and how he is as a defender that's maybe caused a little bit of Atlanta scoring, but I don't think he's been bad. So I think some of the effort is given that way and leaves something on the table offensively as well.
Yeah. So I want to transition to a segment that I proposed to you earlier, like the trying to make sense of Mike Brown's decisions. So I'll be presenting a decision.
Okay.
I'll do like a devil's advocate case for it, and then I want you to basically give the more rational take, right? So a big talking point has been the lack of double big in this series. Mike Brown's reaction. For those who aren't watching the video, Shax is not a fan of that. We said this. We were like, look, the biggest advantage is size. And if they're not going to lean into their size, then it kind of just doesn't make sense, because even without the lack of size, Atlanta cannot score within the paint in this game. At one point, I want to say they were 9 for 26 in the paint. They finished shooting 56% at the rim and 35% from short and mid-range. And that was with like about almost 50% of their shots coming in the paint.
Wait, there's just one thing I need to say, because I feel like in game 2, Mike Brown is going to come out and say they gave up the most points in the paint, I think, all season in the second game 2. I have no idea how you say that and then say that double big is bad and then you're not going to even play it. Like, how does that make sense to me?
No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to try my best to try to make sense of it, though. Like you mentioned, I'm checking right now. I don't believe we saw many minutes of that lineup, if at all, in Game 3. Let's see. I'm checking right now. They didn't play at all. No double big.
They didn't play at all?
They did not. You didn't see Cat or Mitch? No, they didn't play at all. And not only that, let me get ahead. There's so many things to poke at, but let's start with that. I think Mike Brown could be caught up a little bit in the hack and Mitch strategy, right?
He is.
But let's put it this way. It's not always a bad thing to be in the bonus. It's not always a bad thing to get intentional fouls. I think that he's complicating the lineup, right? If you play Towns, Robinson, and Deuce, Towns, Robinson, you can even mix in Shamet, you can mix in Jose Alvarado, you get more of that balance. I think that he is concerned about the particular combination with Hart. I think he's concerned about the lateral mobility of defending all the Hawks guard-to-guard actions. But what I would tell him,
maybe.
Well, actually, no. I'll let you do that. I think that his strategy is rooted in being concerned about the guard-to-guard actions, the perimeter switching, and then the fouling. That's what I think his rationale is. Now, how would you respond to that rationale?
I'd say that it's absolutely ridiculous, especially the fouling part. If they're gonna foul him, like, make them foul him before you pull him. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we preventing something that didn't happen yet? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't get that at all. And even what you're saying about the guard to guard screening, like, Atlanta sometimes has like I'm comfortable with Cat guarding Kuminga. Would you say that's not crazy?
I don't know what the fear is of Kuminga really on both ends, and I think that he has had. I don't want to diminish his impact, but like
Yeah,
when he's tried to take advantage of a mismatch and it's not in the context of the offense or it's not in transition, it hasn't been good offense for the Hawks, right? I tweeted out, I was like, okay, I'm cool with Kuminga taking 2 ill-advised mid-range shots a game if he's going to
I
be like
saw.
this on the glass or if he's attacking the rim. But he's going to give you those 2 ill-advised mid-range shots. If you leave him in isolations against Karl-Anthony Towns, it's likely that the Knicks are going to get a possession outcome that they're okay with. So,
Mm-hmm.
and also with the way that Akil has kind of underperformed and even Jalen Johnson has underperformed, a lot of these handoffs, unless it's Nikhil popping, where Nikhil has been really good popping as a screener, you're probably okay. So I definitely would agree with that rationale. That not leaning into that is crazy to me. Let's start with this another point of emphasis from Mike Brown, or like a point of emphasis from Knicks fans in terms of frustration with Mike Brown. Throwing out lineups with no stars.
I can't
So
believe he did. Oh my god,
he
dude! I
did.
can't believe he didn't do it in the first half, right? So like, okay,
Yep,
so
Cat
we're
started the
definitely not.
second, so I was like,
Yeah,
yep, yeah.
yeah, we're definitely not going to see it in the fourth quarter, right? Definitely
Mm-hmm.
not going. And I don't know. He throws out. I forgot what the lineup was, but it was Alvarado, Mitch. And I don't want to say Clarkson too, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
why?
So
Like, why do
so in that fourth quarter, they began the quarter with McBride, Alvarado, Mitch, Hart. I think it was either Bridges. It was Bridges. Then
that?
they,
And then he subs Clarkson in at 11 minutes, like a minute in for
yeah,
Alvarado,
yeah.
hoping for like some scoring creation. Like I don't understand. Just stagger the stars. It's like you don't need to sub Clarkson in for scoring creation. Clarkson's a good player, but like he's had down moments even when he's creating. I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just weird.
In those 3-ish minutes, it's 2 points and 6 possessions. But at the same time, and this is what I think he's like, Atlanta is kind of punting on those minutes as well, right?
Mhm.
Atlanta starts that fourth quarter with Kispert. But again, they still have like a semblance of creation on the floor. They start with Kispert,
I
Kuminga,
think McCollum's
McCollum, Okongwu, and then Alexander Walker. I think Gabe Vincent played some minutes as well with that quartet. And I don't think you should never. This Quinn Snyder talked about this in the postgame. He wanted to leave Jalen Johnson out there as much as possible, but he knows that Mike Brown is gonna play a troll lineup to start the quarter. So he literally said, "I played Corey Kispert to give Jalen Johnson some spell," and then I brought Jalen Johnson back in. So it's like you're premeditating an ability for your opponent while you're down, while the momentum's not in your favor, to play these off bench lineups. Okay, to play devil's advocate. Um, I think that there is a. I think that Mike Brown is wary of leaning too much into playing through one player, which may sound counterintuitive, or maybe he only has that belief for Brunson because the lack of intentionality with Cat leads me to believe that, right? Like there's not.
maybe.
I'm wondering if he feels like you can get more free flowing offense with Mitch, just get shots on the glass and have Mitch try to clean up everything. And maybe that's the stretch. That's the best I can do there, Shax. I can't do much else.
I mean, given the second quarter, I mean, I don't really like how they ran offense with Cat in the game. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, like it was just the Hawks put. I think they put their center on Anunoby and just they kind of find Cat with like Kuminga. It's
Yeah.
just I don't understand what they're doing there.
That was the earliest in the series that the Hawks have gone to a wing on Cat. First 2 games, they didn't switch. They put Dyson on Cat the last 5 minutes of game 1. They put Kuminga on Cat last 5 minutes of game 2. They went
Mm-hmm.
to Kuminga to
Oh no,
start on Cat.
I think they started. Didn't they start Dyson on? They started Dyson on Cat in game two and then changed it in game three.
Yeah. Then they brought in. Well, Kuminga closed with him on Cat, but they did start with
Oh yeah,
Dyson on Cat. Yeah.
yeah.
And then in game 3, as soon as Cat checked in with Kuminga on the floor, Kuminga picked him up immediately.
Mhm.
I know you haven't finished logging the game just yet, but I remember you saying there hasn't been a single wedge screen for Cat
Dude,
in the
wedge
series.
screens are gone. It's like been gone since like I don't even know. I could literally check it right now. Like
Yeah,
how long is
for
it? How long has it been gone?
for listeners, a wedge screen is typically where a small will set a cross screen, which means a screen for the other player to cross across the paint, usually from block to block, and it's used to hunt a mismatch, usually for a
February
big
10th.
February 10th.
Like I mean, it's such a good play for him too because he can use it to get a post up or he can like pop it for a three.
Mm.
They did that a lot last year, but also Fib stopped running it too. So I mean, I don't think it matters like who's coaching.
Did Tibbs stop running it like as the playoffs ramped up as well?
Yeah.
Mm. I would say the Hawks also don't run it anymore. The Hawks used to run it, but we have a different post set, right? Like Onyeka's going to get to a jump hook. Cat has a lot more downhill pressure. He has, different triggers, whatever. He's a better face-up game. So I don't think that's if the league overall is fading post-ups, maybe I'll give Mike Brown some grace. But I think for this matchup,
Maybe.
I can't justify it. I think it's all rooted in that same thing though, like what I mentioned earlier. I think that Mike Brown is averse of playing through a single player, or
Mhm.
he has way more trust in the Jalen Brunson than he does currently Towns. But I think there's just too many opportunities where, especially if you're going to run a lineup, like there were times where Deuce McBride had the ball the last 12 seconds of the shot clock,
Mhm.
and
In the
clearly
fourth
not.
quarter, you think?
Yeah, in the fourth quarter, like I think it was
Yeah.
maybe around like the 7-minute mark, 8-minute mark, 2 or 3 possessions where Deuce was being asked to make something out of nothing, and you've got a fully overloaded side with both Cat and Brunson walking away from him.
Mhm.
I can't make sense of that. I know that's not what I don't think there's any coach who would want that per se. Uh, but I think that there's and you mentioned it, and I want you to expound on it a little bit for maybe people who aren't as familiar with the Knicks. The Knicks have no way to get Cat the ball on a mismatch.
No, they don't. They don't. I have no idea what they're doing. I don't think Cat is making himself available enough. I don't think that he's encouraged to make
Mm.
himself available. Just so bad. It's like they start out with this like he's on the top of the key, right? And he just sits there. The play runs on like say like the opposite side of the floor, and then he would just go back down the dunker or something. And that would be his activity for that possession. It's crazy.
Do you think his biggest advantage against Kuminga or any wing is in the post, or is it getting him into a
Um,
attacking off movement from the top of the key?
no, it's in the post because when he's on the top of the key, they're just able to move with him
Mm-hmm.
because that's when the mobility's best at play. When you get it down to the post, it's just his strength. Just use your strength and body the guy and get to the rim. Like that's where he needs to be if they wanted to take advantage of the mismatch.
I think the one sort of and you saw this with Tibbs, right, against the Pacers. He didn't pull the Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson lever until it was desperation time, right? Like it kind of turns into like experimentation because you have to
Yep.
try something different. And so
Yep.
and that's what I think is probably going to be frustrating for you all, or because like these are things that you're talking about that make logical sense, right? But because everything else isn't working, it wouldn't be out the realm of the possibility for all of these things we're talking about to then happen in game 4 because of the pressure of potentially losing the series.
I mean, you could hope so, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it for like the last two games. It's just been a mess, in my opinion. In 2 and 3.
And then so from a lineup perspective, if you I would imagine that if you're going to start that, like that second quarter when they started with Cat, right? I'm going to see who was on the floor at that time. I think it was, let me see. They started with OG, Cat, Jose, Clarkson, and Shaman.
Yeah.
If you're going to be playing through Cat, is that the best combination of guys to put around him?
I really don't know what happened to this rotation because even that, even those group of players, I don't even like that much. Because at one point there was they found a way to have both wings with him on the floor to start the second quarters. I thought that was it, and this was like February that Brown had he had a rotation where Cat was starting second quarters, the wings were starting with him, and Brunson was playing maybe with like one of the wings, either Hart or Bridges, and Mitchell Robinson, right? So I feel like, and with sorry, he was playing with Brunson was playing with Hart, maybe like another shooter like Shamit and Robinson. So I feel like this splitting them up has been like really bad, Brunson and Cat. And I feel like he's like panicking to do it. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
feel like he just threw that lineup out there just to get Cat on the floor.
Do you think there could be a starting lineup change in game 3? I mean game 4.
I think there should be. I don't think there will be. And the change should be pretty obvious because you need shooting and extra ball handling. I think McBride is much better than Bridges at both those things.
In the 14 minutes that they played OG, Cat, Brunson, McBride, and Hart, the Knicks were plus 24. They scored 41 points on 31 offensive possessions, which
Yeah.
is fantastic. I think that the Hawks, and they had like a 43-point rating. I think that the Hawks overreacted a bit to like McBride being on the floor in terms of, I think that you need to treat him as another wing and not like a guard. Like they shouldn't, to me, McBride's best, like for example, they brought heavy nail help against Brunson with McBride one pass away. And I think that kind of makes it really easy for McBride, where he's very, very good off the catch. I think they need to run him off the line more. And they were kind of treating him like he was Bridges, where Bridges would, drive it, then turn, shoot some bullshit, fade away from 15 feet away, as opposed to McBride, who's going to fire that. So I think that the Hawks need to adjust their coverages if McBride's on the floor, because you need to make him put the ball on the floor as opposed to being able to spot up.
Yep.
And
these, sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say the other thing is why these minutes were so good is because Towns was so good defensively. I think they in these minutes, and again, like this is just the power of like forcing turnovers. They had like a 18 steal percentage and 10 block percentage, and that was all Cat for me. I thought that he was fantastic. OG and Cat in particular were fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome. I thought Cat was like amazing. He was like doing stuff like you dream about him doing in the playoffs. Like we just talked so much about his defense being like that pretty bad because it just can't move that well.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the blocks, I think it was like on CJ McCollum, where I think he like switches his hips and McCollum tries to go opposite where he drives, and he ends up blocking. That one was like completely surprising to me.
Yeah. The other thing about those minutes is like, I wonder if you agree. I didn't feel like the offensive process was good for New York at all in that.
Which quarter to fourth?
In the fourth.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever really good. Like, I don't think it's ever really perfect in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. And to me, it felt like there was like OG was so phenomenal that like I mentioned the 2 grenades, but the offensive rebounding, especially like you could see after Jalen Johnson made his best defensive play of the series, he goes up, he blocks Cat after Cat drives baseline. Then Onyeka ends up fumbling the rebound. OG finds it, has his back to the basket with 2 seconds left, takes one dribble, turns around, fires, and drains it. And I watched Jalen Johnson's body language go from like he was upright, he was into it, he wilted. I was like, oh, like that's one of those shots. And again, you pointed out too, like that Brunson and one, and then the other OG moonball. Those 3 moments, there was it was like a pendulum shift, not necessarily in the arena, but from the players on the floor, where it's just like we just played perfect defense, and that happens. There was a time for this Hawks team where that would have broke them. I feel like,
Mm.
And I thought that that's where I got to give him a lot of credit. I think, you get 9 minutes of Brunson and McBride in that first half. You get 19 in the second after they bench Bridges
Mm.
and he doesn't play.
Yep.
This is the same, to me, this is the same wrinkle as the Hawks in terms of effect. This is the same wrinkle as the Hawks guarding Cat with the wing. Like, this is what, plus the double big from the New York. And I think that is like, they have to lean into this. They have to lean into the double big. But how much more do you feel like the Hawks have to, like, because I think, like, I've seen a lot of Knicks fans, and I agree with them, and I agree with the Hawks fans as well. Knicks fans are saying, hey, we played like garbage, we lost by 1. Hawks fans are saying, hey, we played like garbage, we won by 1. Sometimes the playoffs is just garbage. Guys, it's going to be junk offense.
Yep.
It's only going to be, like, it's very competitive. Guys are going to be missing shots.
Yeah.
Which team do you feel like is underperforming the most?
I'm gonna be extremely biased. I mean, to me, it's the Knicks,
Mm-hmm.
especially. I just don't think they're getting the most out of their team right now. Between the starting lineup itself, starting lineup that's never been good, and the rest of the rotation. Like, at least when Thibs was here, I hate saying this so much, but at least when Thibs was here, like, he'd play like decent other rotations to, like, carry everything the starting lineup wasn't doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and now you have the starting lineup not really, it's not really better, right? And then you have these other lineups that just aren't good. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, how are you supposed to win basketball games that way?
Yeah, I think that I would agree with you if we're talking about from a personnel and, like, overall, like, I have a Knicks fan in one of my basketball group chats, a good friend. He's talking about how, like, even if we lose, we're getting Giannis. And I'm like, you guys are the 3 seed. I don't want to hear any of this talk from you. But I think the expectation should be higher for New York, right? Like, this is a team with championship aspirations. And they haven't performed well because I don't think they're being put in the best position to do so. But I also think some of the shot quality stuff. Have you, from those first 2 games, and again, like, this is why I think it's really important that we try and backfill this as much as possible, because, like, playoff shot quality you can't compare it to regular season, right? At all. Like, you just can't. And the level of physicality and intensity, the defensive pressure, I think Atlanta has, like I mentioned earlier in the show, they have brought so much of that I'm less inclined to say that, like, New York's shot making will make a drastic turn. If New York's offense pops, it will be because they're putting guys in better positions to succeed. They're playing through cat, they're playing the double big, they're playing more deuce. I don't think it will be because the shot quality will get massively better. It will be because they're getting more extra possessions. They're getting cat across matches. They're having Deuce one pass away as opposed to McHale. I think that's how I feel. But for the Hawks, I do think to an extent they're underperforming their shot quality. I thought that after that first quarter, though, New York's defense was a lot better. I'm not sure. Like, I couldn't point to anything tactically in particular. I think that.
I think it's just. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I want to hear.
I think it's just transition. To be honest with you, I think it's just not allowing them to get in transition much. The first quarter is, I was first, but it's a mess.
Yeah,
it's a mess.
And what's crazy, and I look, we talked about this. The Hawks will run at every opportunity. That does not just mean rebounds. It means off makes. It means off dead ball scenarios. And there were moments where, like, Brunson made a layup, fell. The Hawks came down and hit a 3.
Yep.
And
I remember that one.
They tried to do that twice. I can't recall if they scored on the second one, but they will quite literally run at every opportunity. I want to pull up the clip just to show exactly what I mean, because I think that's what you can control from a transition perspective. Like, you're gonna have some turnovers, but I think knowing and understanding, hey, Brunson is down, we need to zone up. And I thought that the Hawks do a really good job of just identifying exactly when is the perfect opportunity to run. Like, this was right after, like, this was a lot, like, the ball went out of bounds. And Atlanta still ran. And they're like, especially from where I was sitting in the arena, you could see the, like, Gabe Vincent clapping at the ref and giving the ball. I definitely shared the wrong screen. My bad. But like, let me see real quick. You could see him clap at the ref right here. So Josh Hart is still like, this is when Josh Hart lost the ball out of bounds. He's still in the front court, right?
Yeah.
And this is like, this is so unforced. Like there's just no reason to give this up because there's no. I think Josh is frustrated that he lost the ball out of bounds, but he turns this into a transition opportunity.
Yep.
And Dyson's able to get downhill, draw Mitch, and there's Kuminga with a nice 45 cut to fill back in. And this is what you're talking about, right? Like this is avoidable. Mikhail's floating. Mikhail's kind of floating. Josh doesn't get back into the play. And this was one of several moments. They also did this in the third quarter where this was off of the Brunson make. I remember when I was looking at like some stuff that Owen Phillips did last year, the most effective offensive possessions came after an at-rim miss, an at-rim block, turnovers, of course. But then right after that was an at-rim make, and it's because guys fall down so often. And especially like they were able to get to this Nikhil corner pocket three, which was big. I thought it was interesting seeing clear out this empty side for Brunson to go to work against Gabe Vincent. And then he's just going to back him down, get to his left hand. I think that this is, I don't know how you particularly feel about it. It's just one play. He's trying to get the foul there. But you see how, I don't know if you can, like the trade-off here is rough just because of how fast Leonard runs. And he's 20 feet behind the play at this point. I think Deuce probably shouldn't have been that far over just because Cat's in front of Dyson, but I understand why he wants to show help. And like this was huge, especially because the Hawks offense really was not in clicking up until they were able to get back in the transition.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about that. There's a good article out I saw recently about how the Boston Celtics, like, I don't know if they were saying they intentionally do it, but they like pull up jumpers instead of rim attempts where they're like falling down and stuff so they can get back in transition.
Like the Celtics take pull up jumpers instead of
they take spot up pull up jumpers instead of like rim takes to avoid like what we were talking about.
I want to share this clip as well. It's what I'm talking about in terms of how the Hawks need to play off of how they need to play defense when McBride's on the floor. So here comes that guard to guard screen. Jalen Brunson's gonna get the switch. I think CJ's telling Dyson to not switch or to not come back, right?
Oh, this is are they attacking CJ here?
Yeah. So I think Brunson wanted to attack CJ, but you can see how CJ's kind of telling. It looks to me like the signal was, "Hey Dyson,
CJ just
stay. I'll sit on this." And there were 2 to 3 moments throughout this game where Dyson and CJ were on the same page, and I could tell from their reactions, like Dyson was like, "Oh, my bad." Especially if it's Deuce, like good IQ from the Q, and I like that CJ goes the X out with Jordan Clarkson. Like this is good defensive process, but he's too good as a catch and shoot threat to give him that much space. I feel. I would almost like. To me, I think you have to just kind of like leave CJ on Brunson, or like really, or commit to the X out.
Yeah, this is another reason though that McBride just needs to play with Brunson, because it's not only that his shooting ability is like really good, it's that his screening technique it's like legit. Like he can also flip this very well. I've seen him do it like end the games and stuff. Like even in this scenario where it's late quarter.
All right, so I wanna finish with looking at the last 3 plays. Like we've talked about on our respective platforms, is like you don't get to organize offense more often out of anything besides a. Oh, actually, real quick, we'll start with the last minute. So we'll start with I think Brunson had a drive. This was the and one. This was rough. I could kind of feel like the arena deflate a little bit when he got that shot off. So same scenario. You got Deuce one pass away.
Yep.
And instead of Dyson being on the floor, it's Nikhil. Hawks opt to stay
Mm-hmm.
with it. They're going to lead the switch. Brunson tells Deuce to clear out.
Yep.
1 second. Brunson tells him to clear out. Right? So he wants Deuce to cut through, so there's not going to be any nail help.
Mm-hmm.
You got this stack to try and clear out just the whole middle of the floor. Like they're basically going to a flat alignment, 1-4 flat, and it's just Brunson at the top of the key. Deuce still comes back through, but I think that was fine because Brunson was about to spin anyway. He spins away from the help, gets through, hooks CJ a bit, and a tough finish. I feel like of any team, like you all get to like this flat look down the stretch pretty decently. Like this is where I think Brunson's at the most comfortable. This is kind of what I expected to see at the end of the game, as opposed to what happened. So, any particular thoughts, like from a schematic perspective, from this play?
No, this is all good. I mean, you're attacking McCollum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And clearing out, just no help available. 1-on-1, I mean, the chances of scoring is a lot there.
Yeah, definitely agreed. All right, then let's look at the Hawks' next possession. You've got, and this is kind of the whole thing, man. Like after a free throw make, the Hawks get a dunk attempt. Like that's kind of crazy. This is good. This is supposed to be a set defense from New York. You've got the Hawks setting up Spain pick and roll. So you got one screener here. Kuminga's the screener. He's got. They put Brunson on Kuminga. Okay. They put Brunson on Kuminga. They had OG on Jalen. Here comes that Spain. So you've got Nikhil leaking, which takes out the help.
Yep.
OG kind of gets stuck on the screen. Now Jalen Johnson's making a beeline. There's no like stunt or hedge from Brunson. I think you've got to try to dig on his handle as much as possible.
Dude, this is such a bad play. You have to hedge this. I don't understand how you in this lane.
Yeah, this has to be a hedge.
There was a play earlier where they did hedge, and then he shot him and Kuminga were like playing catch, and he shot a three. And missed it.
I have that in my notes. Like I did not like that play at all. I think this is good. So we talk about this too. Like typically in the Hawks closing lineup, you'd have Dyson, and Dyson would be this screener, and then you'd have CJ or Nikhil. You'd still have Nikhil as this screener, but putting Jalen on the ball and then CJ in one corner and Onyeka in the other, like Josh Hart, I still probably would like maybe want you to stunt a little bit, but he really can't, quite honestly, especially with the way that Jalen drives. Like, and this is on Cat to make the play, and he times this perfectly. Hell of a defensive play, and then ball careens back into Jalen's hands, and he's able to get that putback. But I think this all starts with the lack of a hedge.
Yep.
And you have to dig here. Really no other way to look at that play, in my opinion. Then we come down, we get a Hart 3. At this point, New York is up 1.
They're just gonna match up on CJ again here with McBride. Also, would you switch the matchup with CJ with anyone else since McBride's a shooter?
They put Onyeka on McBride on some possessions, and I think they put CJ on Hart. I think
that was just messy though. Like it was just some mess of the possession. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I think I'm okay with Onyeka on him in scramble situations, but I'd probably start CJ with there. And honestly, you could even, like, if you really wanted to just get real nasty with the lineup, you could put Dyson out there and see if you can just, try and get as much as you can out of their combined athleticism. But probably want to start CJ on Deuce.
All right, so you see how he's gonna like come and flip this. Like he's pretty to screening and stuff. I think that's pretty good there to like almost force that slip.
Yeah.
and then he comes in doubles. And you're gonna see Johnson come up here. So this is a good rotation from the Hawks.
It's a great
They just leave.
rotation.
I think they end up leaving Hart down there and just clustered up with Cat.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes things a little easier. I'm not sure what I would want to change here. Maybe I'd have the corner filled instead, because say the corner was filled here, I think the rotation would have just been easier. Would have just been a little harder for them.
Yeah.
And then we just had this breakdown with the hard three, which honestly, like, it's a fine shot in my opinion. Like he's made that before. He's pretty good in the corner this year.
Yeah. But if you can keep going through the rest of the possession.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So then I think after that, there was a. Let me look at the play-by-play. Then right after that is the Brunson pull-up jumper after the offensive rebound.
All right. Yeah. You see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, he should have shot that there. He should have shot the pull-up three. I don't know why he didn't. Like in the moment, I literally said that to myself.
Yeah.
Like look how open he is. It's like ridiculous.
They're sitting and drop.
Like, even this, I don't have a problem with him just pulling up here. Like, how do you not pull up here? It's just.
I guess that's the 0 for 5 though.
Yeah.
Now he second guessed himself. So now the Hawks are gonna go the other way. They call a timeout. I'm sitting next to my guy Mikey Kobrinsky of We Talk Hawks Fans TV, and I'm telling him, look, give me something quick. Give me a curl. Give me a curl. Maybe ripping a rip screen. And my guy Quinn Snyder, that's exactly what he dialed up. And the reason my rationale was the defense has been so good. We don't need a play to take the last shot. Take something quick and then make them try to score on us. Mike Brown comes out with Landry Shamet, Deuce, OG, Hart. I'm forgetting the last Bridges.
Oh, no center.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I don't think Mitch is stopping this particular play, but I think you put it best. It's like if you're going to put out a lineup that's intended to switch, then switch.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't. And that's like you have to switch on something like this. It's going to be a twirl action with a curl and a rip screen. So CJ's going to come off the initial kind of zipper. Or I think Kuminga comes off the zipper, and they're going to twirl it. Here comes the rip, and then here comes CJ. And they get him going downhill, and really good spacing from the Hawks. They stack one side of the corner. Mm-hmm. Those guys aren't going to be involved at all. It's literally just a two-man action. And the only way you can defend that is by switching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So really good. I think great play design from Quinn. I was like, yeah, that was. We saw. I think some guys put it out. My guy Nick NBA Charlotte did that, and then there was an AT. I think another coaching account. The Suns did that years ago in the playoffs as well, like a zipper sort of go action. Now we get to the final play from New York.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what any of this is down here. I'm not sure what they're trying to go for. Maybe just inbounding the ball. And I don't even think they won. I don't even think they expected for Brunson to be open here. Maybe they did. And Hart gets it to him right here at the logo almost. But they do a good job denying that. And they end up getting it to Hart, and then Cat's going to set a screen. This is good in my opinion. Coming back this way.
Would you have wanted Cat to flip this? Or do you think the play design is from Brunson to come back this way off this screen? Because now I'm looking at the other side of the floor, and it's that's where all the help is.
Brown said in the post game that what they had was fine, and with that, he wanted Brunson to get to his right side.
Okay.
See how the whole right is cleared out. But then again, why isn't he flipping this?
If Cat flips this, if he doesn't set an illegal screen, if Cat flips this, and you throw it to Brunson on the run, that's really hard to ask Onyeka to switch on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think that would be the play, but doesn't end up doing that. but he still gets open anyways, which I think makes this a fine play to get him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And right here, I think just Kuminga just full sends immediately, right?
Yeah.
Sure, because it's crazy. But this is also good defense from Okongwu because I thought they had him cooked, and he really wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe right
His
here,
lateral mobility is really good.
maybe if Kuminga's not in the play here and he has that step back, he probably gets a shot off. But even that, I can't say for sure.
But that's also just the problem with Hart being the one following him on the drive and not someone
Hmm.
like Cat. Like if it's Cat following him,
Yeah,
Kaminga's aggression level is like very necessary for the Hawks team. I can't even promise you that he wouldn't have done that if it was Cat. He probably would have done it anyways. So
yeah, probably.
that I don't know how this play would go differently outside of like flipping the screen and then you get it like over the top. I don't think Hart should have touched the ball.
Do you think Hart should have been on the floor? Like I have this discussion all the time
I mean, who else?
because I
Who
feel
else
like
is on the floor though? Is it Mikhail? Like, I don't really think.
it would have to be Mikal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just don't know if that's the thing. Who else is on the floor? Like, I just think they feel comfortable with him as a passer
yeah.
and
I'm not mad at Hart being.
another handler.
I'm not mad at Hart being on the floor, but I think
I'm
like
not that mad either.
he shouldn't be the one who's one pass away. Is all. And it's a scramble situation in a way like they kind of denied the initial entry. I would agree with you that I think the first look was probably to get Brunson streaking towards the half court.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think like to me, like I quoted a quote tweet from like Steve Jones and put this quote. I'm like, this is coverage versatility. This is the trade off between like not being a gargantuan center. Like your center moving like that laterally is really impressive. And
Yeah.
for a pretty
Well,
quiet game from him offensively, this was huge. Back to back stops.
yeah. Even with, I think McBride needs to get into this corner
Yeah,
as well. He needs to just
yeah,
get in that corner there because I think getting in that corner, I think Brunson has him available.
yeah.
I
And
think he looks
you see how
look for that first.
he twitched too. Like he like at around like the 5.5 second mark, he jumps like he's gonna do it, and then he just kind of stops, and then you see the way Brunson's eyes are. I think he was looking for that corner pocket. That's a good catch, 100%. Man, the margins are crazy. The margins are so crazy in the playoffs. And I'm excited to be able to talk about this in such detail with you. But I think I also resonate with the tweet you also put out. You were like, "Why do I have stakes in this?" It's like this is a really entertaining game.
This is such a good game. That was such a
Yeah,
good game.
the series.
That was
This
crazy.
has been the best series of the playoffs for me so far. I think so.
What about outside? What do you think is the best series so far? It's outside of this.
I would have said Minnesota if they didn't blow out Denver, but I think a lot of that's just because Aaron Gordon didn't play.
Hmm?
I've kind of really enjoyed Detroit and Orlando as well.
Yeah.
I think that
Before, yeah,
before that third
before that
quarter,
third quarter.
before the third quarter, I really enjoyed Detroit and Atlanta. I think that's going to be a pretty good like chess match, and even in some ways Portland and San Antonio.
Mhm.
Like the Scoot Henderson game was really
Dude,
fun to watch.
dude, it's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this playoffs, man. And people like I remember I put out my initial predictions. I was like, oh, it's gonna be an easy sweep. It's not like I'm like no, like I think
No.
that the talent levels have shrunk a bit, not in terms of overall, but like in terms of like the disparities between the teams. And I mean, you see it where like how competitive some of these series that would have been washes in the past. So, man, this series is a lot. I'm sure we'll make sure that everyone's tuned into what me and Shax are doing. We'll be logging the games, putting out insights from Game 3, different things we come across from data perspective, and then we're right back at it Saturday in Atlanta, 6 p.m. tip, I think, and they'll be right back at it. I'm expecting Mike Brown to kind of push the big red button. We'll see if he does. The Hawks will have to respond to more Deuce McBride minutes. They'll have to respond to OG Anunoby just being unreal as a shot maker, and it's particularly from a movement perspective. I think what he did on the offensive glass was really big for New York. And after the game, Quinn Snyder was talking about we won this in the trenches, and I agree with him. But I also think that New York kind of won the trenches for maybe the third or second game in the series.
Yeah.
And that he said that in the press. He was like, we could be a lot better on loose balls. And they were in that first quarter. There were 3 deflections I can remember where like it turned it the Hawks were able to secure another possession for the Knicks in a scramble scenario. So like, if they clean that up, the jump plays kind of regress to the norm. I think CJ's shot making fell off a little bit as well. So like, I would probably dial back the CJ ball if I'm the Hawks. Don't help so aggressively off the nail against McBride. Be prepared for him flipping the screen. Continue to try next and do that X out coverage wherever you may be, and I think they'll be in good shape. They are in the driver's seat now, but like we have stressed throughout this entire series, the advantage is still in the Knicks' favor in terms of matchups, in terms of personnel, in terms of things like that. I do think that the defensive sort of pushback from Atlanta has been better than even I would have expected. So that would be my closing piece. Anything else you want to say about this series, Shax, before we get back to this after Game 4?
I just hope we come back with a tight series, so we can also have like more discussions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, obviously, yeah.
For sure, man. Well, again, appreciate you, Shax, as always, for taking the time. All of you who are listening, really appreciate you all. Like every other episode, information will be down below. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Shax is putting out Substack articles, he's putting out clips. I just put out the Nikhil full interview that I was able to do, which was really dope.
That was really cool.
Yeah, so again, appreciate you all for listening. Thank you all for supporting. See you in the next one.